Your engagement should be a time for you guys to get to know each other as well. So it's really a time for you to be intentional with one another and maybe find those things that make you who you are.
Hi, I'm John from PGP Wedding Films, and welcome to Say Yes to the Best, where we talk to the best wedding pros to give you wedding planning advice. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. We're always putting up more content to help you navigate wedding planning. So today I'm with Amy Rocha of Bloom With Us. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Not doing too bad. Can you tell us a little bit about Bloom With Us?
Yeah, so we're a full-service wedding planning company, and what we really try to do is work with our couples not only through their engagement, but also through their marriage. So we like to kind of provide helpful tips and resources that are going to kind of build that foundation for a strong marriage.
How long have you been in business?
We've been in business for about 4 years.
And what areas do you primarily work in?
Yeah, I work in the greater Philadelphia area. I'm based out of Newtown Square, but we'll travel pretty much anywhere.
What you wanted to talk about today was some tips for couples who are trying to figure out what they need for wedding planning and how working with a planner can kind of help them stay within their budget and make the most of their money.
Yeah, so I think that what a lot of couples feel is that a wedding planner is this very big expense and it's a very unnecessary expense. So it's kind of seen as this cushion for your wedding day where, you know, if you have the extra budget, you can bring in a wedding planner and not have to deal with those logistics. And while it's true that we'll handle the logistics so you can really truly enjoy your engagement, we actually can help you save money in the long run. So we have a vast vendor community that we work with that we can help connect you with and make sure that we're referring you to vendors that are in your budget and are going to kind of bring the best aspects to your day.
And having a great vendor team is really going to help you have an enjoyable day. And I know one thing that you guys do at Bloom With Us is kind of have what you call the Bloom Collaborative. Could you explain what that is a little bit?
Yeah, so the Bloom Collaborative is a group of amazing vendors, John at PGP Wedding Films included. So we really just try to build a strong vendor network, and what we do with that is we're all people that have worked together many times before. We really kind of get how the day is going to flow with each other. So we're able to make sure that we're providing you resources that are going to be the best fit for your wedding day, but also in your budget. And we've all worked together in kind of one big community that our couples kind of come into.
So when you're working with a wedding planner, how does that work as far as figuring out what to prioritize and how to find the most important vendors?
Yeah, so as a planner, we recommend that you really try and focus first and foremost on your photographer and your videographer. We always recommend getting a videographer if you're on the fence about it. It's, again, kind of one of those vendors that's seen as maybe an unnecessary expense, but you know, you're never gonna get to maybe see your grandparents on the dance floor again. So those are all memories that you're gonna have forever. So that's really something you wanna invest a large chunk of your budget in.
We'll put the shameless plug graphic up for everyone.
Yeah, so we also, of course, recommend hiring a wedding planner, whether it's us or anyone else. So like I said, we kind of help make your engagement completely stress-free, and then we'll also be able to give you those resources that will give you the best wedding day for you. So really, your wedding day goes by in such a blur, so you want to make sure that you are hiring the people that are going to be there so that you can enjoy it, and also who are going to capture it so that you can relive it for years to come.
Are there any other types of vendors that sometimes couples look at as more of a luxury but can really go and make or break their day?
Absolutely. So another thing we really recommend is transportation. That's kind of something that people see as, oh, well, there's ride shares like Uber or Lyft that our guests can take care of themselves at the end of the night. But the reality is not everyone is going to be that responsible. So having transportation is really insurance for you and your guests to make sure that you're getting where you need to go after the wedding day and you're getting there safely. It sometimes can run higher in price depending on how big your wedding is, but it's absolutely worth every penny.
There are so many other vendors and different things that go into a wedding. Once a couple has kind of hit the big things that they need to have, how should they go about finding all the other vendors who create the tapestry of their entire wedding day?
We really try to work with our couples to get to know them personally, and your engagement should be a time for you guys to get to know each other as well. So it's really a time for you to be intentional with one another and maybe find those things that make you who you are. So for example, if you are loving cooking and you love trying new foods, maybe you put a big chunk of your budget into catering. You can go on many tastings together, really kind of be present in those experiences, and that's something that you're going to carry through to your marriage as well.
What is the best way for a couple to kind of figure out what they should prioritize for them?
So really, you should just kind of focus in on who you are as a couple. Try and find those things that you love to do. One thing that I always ask my couples is kind of, what does a typical weekend look like for you? And often I get people who are embarrassed to say that they sit on the couch and watch Netflix all weekend. But if that's what you do and that's who you are, try to incorporate movies or TV shows into your wedding day in subtle ways. And that's something our team tries to come in and do, is bring those personal elements in while still keeping, the elegance of a wedding day. They can be incorporated subtly, and that way everything is kind of personalized to you.
I remember when I got married, one of the things my wife and I did, we both met at the University of Delaware, and, we're both Delaware for life. So we went to campus and we had my sister-in-law take photos of us in front of all the different buildings. And we ended up making each table like a building name from campus. So I think having those little personal touches go a long way to kind of communicating who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you used the buildings at Delaware as your table numbers. My husband and I are big Star Wars fans, and we actually use Star Wars planets as our table names. So there's little subtle ways you can incorporate it like that. And maybe the grandparents didn't quite understand what that meant, but it meant something to us.
If a couple's just getting started, they're not quite sure how to go about getting the ball rolling in wedding planning, what would you suggest they do?
I really suggest finding a planner that can also offer kind of coaching. So find a planner that can offer you a consultation at an hourly rate or something like that, to kind of get you at least started in the thinking process. And they'll be able to kind of take your guest count into consideration, and really all of those little details that might make or break a decision for you. So that is something that we offer as well, and it's something that might start a good relationship between you and a planner that will then kind of carry throughout your entire planning process.
What is the biggest mistake you see couples make in their wedding planning process?
I think the biggest regret I've seen people have, and I'm not just saying this because John is filming me, is not getting a videographer. And I also think that not getting a day of coordinator is a big misstep. So something that I hear a lot is, and all wedding planners hear a lot, is, well, my venue has a coordinator, so we don't need your services. And your venue coordinator is an awesome resource, and they're going to be there to really make sure the catering team is doing what they need to do, make sure that their staff is operating at top level. But what we do as day of coordinators is we're able to kind of take some of the stress off of them, so they can really focus on what they do best, and then we can really focus on making sure the bride and the groom are happy and make sure that everyone has a drink in their hand during the reception. So making sure that the timeline's running smoothly is something that your venue coordinator absolutely can do, but it's something that having a day of coordinator outside of the venue is really going to help with.
I always think that's huge. I've probably shared this story in one of the other episodes, but one of the more heartbreaking things that I ever experienced on a wedding was I showed up. It was a venue that, everything was taking place there. I was supposed to show up like right towards the tail end of the bride having her makeup done. And I walk in and she's still like not having had started makeup, and she's just stuffing vases with flowers for the reception. And it's just like, you don't want that to be your experience on your wedding day where you're worried about every little detail.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing, that we kind of talk about is that usually if something goes wrong, and something will go wrong on your wedding day, it's just going to happen. The bride or whoever is getting married doesn't even know about it when we're there. So we really try to take care of all of those things behind the scenes, and you're putting all of this time and energy into picking out your decor, kind of coming up with this vision that you have, and while your venue coordinator is there to help bring that to life, it is a lot smoother and a lot more likely to meet your expectations when you have a full team that's dedicated just to that. That's definitely our main goal, is to just make sure that the couple is happy and not knowing about anything going on behind the scenes, so they don't have to worry about anything.
If you could give every wedding couple one piece of advice, what would that be?
I really wish that every couple would understand that investing their money into photography and videography is so important. And I've done weddings where people have decided to just crowdsource their photos from all of their guests with iPhones. And with that, you're not only putting the pressure on your guests to make sure that they are constantly taking photos instead of being in the moment, but you're also probably not going to get most of what you want pictures of. These are, heirloom imagery that you're going to hang in your home. Your kids, your grandkids are going to be looking at these images for years and years to come, and watching your video. And that's all something that you really want to make sure you're spending a lot of time researching those vendors and making sure you're finding the right fit for you. And if maybe it's a little bit out of your budget, but you fell in love with this videographer, make it work. There's plenty of other ways that we can help you save money in other areas. And again, that's a big benefit to hiring a planner and a day of coordinator, is we can kind of help figure out your priorities and what your personal wedding experience should be, and where we can cut back in some of the expenses.
Yeah, I had a family member ask for me to send them over our wedding video to watch on Easter. Obviously with all of the craziness going on and not being able to actually be with family, I think that was something she wanted, and that forced me to go back and look and find the file. And it's definitely one of my bigger regrets. I wasn't really into weddings. I'd shot a couple, and I got a friend to shoot it for me, and it's a regret that I have, that I don't have the sort of film that I'm making now, because I didn't invest in it. I spent very little, and I kind of got what I paid for. Similarly with photography, like our photographer was fine, but I don't see kind of the really just breathtaking stuff that I've seen some of my favorite photographers now that I'm into things a little bit more. And that is really the two things that are going to gain value for you moving forward. But I'm a videographer, so I don't know how much credibility I have to tell you to hire a videographer. So what is the favorite part of what you do?
My favorite part is really just getting to know my couples. Something that's so great about being a full service planner is you're working with these couples for a full year, maybe 2 years. I have couples I've been working with for 3 years, and we have their weddings coming up, and it's exciting to, kind of get to experience that with them. And really by the end of our time together, we usually end up being friends more so than just your planner and client relationship.
And one thing that I've always loved about your company, though, is you guys provide resources that go beyond just the wedding day as people move forward in their marriages. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys provide for your couples once they're actually married?
Sure. So one thing that we do is when our couples kind of sign on, we give them a full list of resources that aren't just, the standard preferred vendor list. We, of course, have those as well. But we also have resources like couples counselors that are willing to offer premarital sessions. And that's really something that this is a community you can keep coming back to. We have realtors on board. We have accountants on board. So if you need something in the future, which you inevitably will, you could always have this kind of list of resources that you can come back to, and a big community of people that you can help, that will help support you through that.
I just always have thought that it's really great to help support couples after the fact. And I think that's one of the things that makes your company really, really awesome. So Amy, thank you for being a part of the show and sharing all of your knowledge with our couples.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
And thank you for watching Say Yes to the Best. Again, if you want more great wedding planning tips from the best pros, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We are putting content out all the time for you guys to help you navigate everything. So happy planning.